center rankings for the 2023-2024 NBA season. I already did my point guard through power forward rankings, so if you have not watched those, make sure to go back and watch those videos. So start at number 30. We got Derek Lively here. I did make these videos before, or I made the rankings before the NBA season started. So Derek Lively, I probably would move him up a couple spots knowing what has happened already this season, but I'm not taking this season into consideration. I'm just taking, I'm taking part of last season and I'm projecting how I think they're going to do this season. Obviously I did not, didn't have a lot of stats on Derek Lively last season because he was not in the NBA, so didn't exactly know how well he's going to be this year. So yeah, number 29 here, we got Zach Collins for the Spurs. He's a good scorer, good rebounder. He's a solid player, just nothing special. Good shooter. Number 28, we got Jalen Duren. Jalen Duren, he was pretty solid last season. He's definitely been a lot better than number 28 this season, but like I said, I'm not counting this season into the rankings. So yeah, I think Jalen Duren, it's kind of hard because this Pistons team has so many bigs on their roster. So I don't know how much Jalen Duren is going to play because they have people like James Wiseman and Robert Bagley, Isaiah Stewart. Who's the other guy? They have another guy in there I'm not thinking of, but yeah, they got so many bigs on their team. It's just kind of hard to try to gauge whether or not they're going to be playing some of these guys 30-plus minutes, or they're going to try to get all of them around maybe 20-ish minutes. Yeah, and we got number 27. I got Xavier Tillman. He's only starting now because Steven Adams got injured for the season, which is sad, obviously. But Xavier Tillman he's a solid player, really solid rebounder for sure. I think he'll average double-digit rebounds this season, but probably maybe 7-8 points and 12 rebounds. That's what I got for him. Then at number 26, we got Mark Williams. Mark Williams is a lot like Xavier Tillman, just better offensively. I think he can average 11, 12 rebounds, block or two a game, probably 13 points a game-ish. He's pretty solid offensively, very efficient because he only shoots the ball inside the paint, so he's going to be very efficient there. Number 25, we got Daniel Gafford. Daniel Gafford was extremely efficient from the field last season. I believe he shot 70-some% from the field or something, crazy efficiency. So if he can do that again, he'll have a really good season. But I think he'll probably go down a little bit, but not too much. Then number 24, we got Ivica Zubac. He only shoots the ball inside the paint. He shot 60-some% from the field last year, which is pretty good, but nothing insane. All he has to do is score 8 to 10 points a game and get some rebounds because he does not have to score a lot when they got who they got on their team. Number 23, I do have Draymond Green. Some people probably think this is a little bit low for Draymond Green, but I don't really think he's that impactful of a player anymore, especially on the offensive end. His defense is still good, but it's not insane. And his offense, he averaged 7, 7, and 7, which is good, but it's not too impactful. And I do think his stats will go down this season because they got a guy like Chris Paul. Because a lot of it last year was when Stephen Curry's in the game, Draymond Green was a point guard. When Stephen Curry was not in the game, Draymond Green was acting as the point guard and the facilitator of the offense. So that's kind of how he got a lot of his assists was during that time. But now Chris Paul is going to be that secondary facilitator to Stephen Curry. So Draymond Green's role on the offensive end, is to be more of a spot-up shooter or a post scorer, which he's never been a good offensive player. So it's going to be difficult for him to find more of a role, especially being the age that he is. At number 22, we got Jusuf Nurkic. He's a really good player, really good. He's not a very efficient scorer, but he does score a good amount of points. and he's a really good rebounder, really good offensive rebounder in particular. Definitely an upgrade in that department over DeAndre Ayton. DeAndre Ayton is a better scorer and probably a better, definitely a better defender, but Yusuf Nurkic is significantly better rebounder, specifically on the offensive end. At number 21, we got Mitchell Robinson. He's one of the best, um, what's it called? Best offensive ratings in the league. But you can't put all your um, you can't gauge everything based on the offensive rating of a player, because if I did that, Mitchell Robinson will probably be much higher on this list. But definitely helps a little bit, and he's extremely efficient, on offense, and he grabs a lot of rebounds, and he is very good on defensive end as well. He's a pretty solid player. Just nothing, he doesn't score a lot of points. He doesn't assist a lot. He doesn't grab a lot of offensive rebounds. He's just really solid player still. At number 20, we got Clint Capella. So him and Mitchell Robinson are basically the same player. I just think Capella is a little bit better on the offensive end, and he grabs more offensive rebounds than Mitchell Robinson does. At number 19, we got Wendell Carter Jr. So he's more of an offensive threat. He actually shoots the ball a little bit, outside the paint, like Capella and Mitchell Robinson. Wendell Carter can shoot from outside the paint, and he's still pretty solid on defense, and he's young. So I think we'll still continue to progress a little bit. Number 18, we got Jakob Poeltl. He had his best season last year, or one of his best seasons last year, and now he's going back to Toronto. I do like him in Toronto. Thought it was pretty good, a pretty good acquisition for them. He scores good amount of points, good defense, good rebounds. He's a good player. Number 17, we got Nikola Vucevic. Definitely not the same player he was a few years ago in Orlando, and even his first year in Chicago, when he was averaging 20 plus points and 10 plus rebounds a game on a very efficient, or at least a very 36% from three. But now I'm not even sure. He might be at 34% on threes, which is a little bit of a regression. He's at 18 points per game, not up to 20 plus, and I don't even know if he's at double-digit rebounds right now. So definitely a bit of a regression for him. He's a little bit older now, so I guess it's understandable, and I don't expect him to, turn it around this season. I expect him to, continue to regress a little bit. And I expect the Bulls to at least, if I was the Bulls, I would want to be trying to trade Vucevic away and try to get somebody younger to, maximize potential rebuild. At number 16, we got Miles Turner. I think he's a really good player. He really good offensive and defensive player. He's very efficient on the offensive side. He's not the best rebounder, but he gets a good amount of blocks a game, and he scores the ball good on offense, and he shoots threes, at a decent rate as well. At number 15, we got Chet Holmgren. So, he didn't play last year in his rookie year, so a little bit of a downside there is because he hasn't played basketball in over a year, but he also has had a whole full year in the weight room and stuff, and playing, or at least practicing against a lot of time practicing against NBA level and scrimmaging against NBA level players. So, I think he should be more developed than most of the other rookies this season, because he has had a year to sit back and learn the game and gain a little bit of weight. I think he said he's gained 7 pounds of muscle or something from last year, which isn't a lot, but I think it's definitely a little bit, definitely an improvement. So I think it'll be really good on the defensive side, because he is 7'2" or something. He's extremely tall and long wingspan, so he should have a good defensive season. Offensively, not expecting a whole lot, but I think he'll be a very inefficient, 13 points per game maybe. I don't know. I'm not expecting a whole lot on the offensive end. At number 14, we got Jonas Valanciunas. So he's really good on the offensive end. He can average almost 20 points per game, which is kind of weird to see for Jonas Valanciunas, because they got CJ McCollum and Brandon Ingram and guys like that on his team. And then you get a guy like Jonas Valanciunas, He's just like um, oddly very good scorer of the basketball. And he's a really good rebounder, which he has been that for a long time. Um, it's just that you don't really expect this guy to be as good as he is at scoring the basketball. And he's a pretty solid passer as well. So he's just a really good all around player. At number 13, I got Alperen Sengun. I think he's a really good player. I think he'll continue to progress a lot. I think he can easily average 20 plus points per game this season with close to 10 rebounds and like 6 assists. I think he'll have a really, really good year this year. And he definitely struggled with a bit of efficiency issues last season, but it makes sense. I think he'll continue to improve on that throughout his career and definitely take a good step forward this year. Number 12, we got Rudy Gobert. He had a good year last year. Cat did not play most of the season last year, which definitely helped Rudy Gobert's numbers. So I do think his numbers will dip this season without Cat, or with Cat playing. But I do think he'll have a pretty solid season. So at number 11, we have Brook Lopez. I mean, we all know what Brook Lopez is. He shoots the ball. He's a good shooter. He rebounds. He blocks shots. I do think he'll probably have a little bit of a regression because he's like 36 or something. He's pretty old, but he's still been really good the last few years. So I don't see any big regression happening. Just a very mild regression. At number 10, I do have Walker Kessler. So he had a really good rookie season last year. I do expect him to build up off of that, mostly on the offensive end because his defense, he averaged, I think, over 3 blocks a game per 36 minutes. I don't expect him to improve on that a lot because, that's really good. I do expect him to get like 12 rebounds a game, and I just expect him to take a jump on the offensive side because he didn't shoot a lot last year. He was efficient in the shots he did take, but I think he will take more shots this year. At number 9, we got Nicholas Claxton. So I do expect a pretty significant jump from Nicholas Claxton this season, primarily on the offensive end. So he was last season. He still was one of the better defenders in the league last year. I expect to see that again. I expect to see double-digit rebounds a game from him, and I expect to see at least the bare minimum 16 points per game from him. Because last year he had Kyrie and KD on his team for most of the season, so you weren't seeing Nicholas Claxton score the ball a lot. But this season, I mean, he does have Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson, who do score a lot, who do shoot the ball a lot, but they're pretty efficient scorers. And he does have Cam Thomas, who so far this season has scored like 30 points a game. So he obviously shoots the ball a lot. But, I feel like Nicholas Claxton can have opportunity to shoot at least maybe close to 10 shots a game. And I do think he'll make the majority of those shots because he's not going to shoot too much outside the paint. So you think he could potentially average close to 16 a game. Number 8, we have DeAndre Ayton. So he should take a jump this season over last season because he should have a much more featured role in the offense. Because I do think he's probably the best player on this team right now besides maybe Anthony Simons. But right now, Anthony Simons is also injured for a month. So DeAndre Ayton should have no excuse to not be averaging at least 20 and 10 this season. If he does not average 20 and 10 this season, I'll personally be a little bit surprised and, extremely disappointed. At number 7, we got Jarrett Allen. So he's a really good player, really good scorer and defender and rebounder. So, typical center, he scores, defends, and rebounds. But he's also very athletic. It's really good because Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland both like to throw lobs, and Jarrett Allen is good at that. So number 6, we got Bam Adebayo. He is a extremely versatile player, one of the best two-way players in the league. He does not get an insane amount of offensive production, but he doesn't exactly shoot the ball too much. So I do think if he wanted to, if he shot the ball a couple more, he's good enough. You could easily average 20 and 10 with 2 blocks a game, but I don't think he's going to quite average 20 points per game, but maybe close to 18 and 10 with 2 blocks a game for Bam Adebayo. He did really good in the playoffs last year, like he usually does. He's just pretty good player all around. At number 5, Kristaps Porzingis. So he had a really good season last year. I do expect him to take a jump this season, even though he has more faces on his team. That would be like, you would think he's going to have a regression because he has a lot more players on his team like that. But I do think that will benefit Porzingis because he's going to be looked at third option, the third offensive option on this team, which is going to be very good for a guy like Porzingis because he has the ability to space the floor for this Celtics offense. So when Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown, or even Drew Holiday for that matter, are handling the ball, because all those three guys are very good on-ball players. So any of those three guys are handling the ball, and then they dish it out to Porzingis, who's going to be forgot about sometimes because they got to worry about, if Drew Holiday has the ball, they got to worry about Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. And then Kristaps Porzingis is more of an afterthought, so he should get a decent amount of open looks, and he's a very efficient player, so I expect him to knock all those looks, or most of those looks, down. Number 4, we got Domantas Sabonis. He had a really good season last year. I expect much of the exact same thing. This Kings team is mostly the exact same roster, so I don't expect a lot of differentiating from last season to this season. I just do think maybe Sabonis might have a slightly more efficient season than last year. At number 3, we got Anthony Davis. So, it's Anthony Davis. You don't expect a whole bunch of games out of him, but I think 60 games is good. I think he'll get to 60 games. I do think he'll have a very good 60 games, 25 and 12, maybe 25 and 11 as a minimum games. And he's a pretty efficient player from the field, maybe not necessarily from 3-point, but he does need to work on that, obviously, but he's still pretty, really, really good player. Number 2 is Joel Embiid, MVP last season. I expect him to do a lot of the same this year. I do not expect him to have quite as good of a season as he did last year, but still really good, still potentially 30-plus point per game season for him. And number 1 is Jokic. It's Nikola Jokic. You don't expect anybody else to be in this spot. I personally think he was the best player in the league last season. I think he's probably the best player in the league this season. And he proved that throughout the playoff run. So yeah, that's all I have. Like I said earlier, if you have not watched my point guard through power forward rankings, please go do so. I also will have a bench player ranking and the top 100 players ranking coming out later this week. And I also have my weekly NFL and NBA power rankings, so make sure to watch those videos as well.